Abi Mia is a London-based singer-songwriter bringing her uplifting, empowering pop sound to modern music. And she's with us here just now. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yep, I'm doing great as well. Now, you've got a new song out at the moment called Can't Stop, Won't Stop. So how would you describe the overall sound of that?
It's just a pop, funky, upbeat track, just sort of a song to get everyone up and dancing and just to smile.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a great song for the weekend, I suppose, and a Friday afternoon.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. And how did you come up with it? Did you write it yourself?
Yes. So I wrote it myself, and it was one of those times where I intentionally had a subject. I really just wanted to write something fun and just something a bit motivational for people just to do what they love to do. So I kind of started from there, and then just kind of wrote it, and then I worked with my amazing producer to kind of create the big sound.
Yeah. And what is that process normally like for you when you're writing a song?
It's always interesting because I don't really have the same way of writing at the moment. I tend to just be inspired in different ways, but I usually play my piano to start with. I write based on sort of piano and chords and things like that. And then it kind of just builds depending on what production we choose and what references we want it to sound like and things.
And lyrically, how would you describe the theme that goes along with it?
Well, it's quite a defiant track, I guess, and it is quite personal to me. It was sort of in semi-response to people who always try and criticize, other people's music just because. And, I know you can't please everyone. And it was just kind of a more like, well, I can't stop and I won't stop. So who cares kind of what you say.
Yeah. And I guess maybe there's an underlying thing there that people can relate to in the song about when the pandemic hit, a lot of people had to stop, but they didn't want to stop. So I guess that song kind of works in that way.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't even think of that. That's why I love music, because people interpret songs in so many different ways. Even if the songwriter didn't think of it.
Yeah. So how did you get into music originally then?
Well, I guess it's always been part of my life as a hobby, but actually the pandemic was what got me into it, ironically. When most musicians were not working, I was starting because I had a lot of free time. I wasn't able to work as much. So then I realized, oh yes, I remember I love music, and I just sort of went for it from there.
Yeah. And I guess it's interesting because you wouldn't have really had the chance to perform yet. I suppose things are different now than they were last March, but have you maybe had the chance to do some in-person stuff?
I have now, and I love it. It's amazing. It's so different because I did a lot of live streams, of course, which is good, but when you can really feed off an audience's energy, it's way better. So I have done a few so far.
Yeah. And because you've only recently started, have you found that it's kind of hard to get audiences to come to your first ever gig? So I've always wondered how that kind of works.
So do I. Obviously you have to bribe friends and family to come. That's a given. But it is hard because especially at the moment, people are still a bit more cautious maybe to be inside. And also it's a lot of weekdays, evenings. People are so in the habit of not going out. But I am slowly, each gig gets a few people at least, and, build from there, I guess.
Yeah. And I've got a bit of a theory, and I don't know if it's true or not, that perhaps more people are going to be going to see lesser known artists at this time because they're just so desperate to get out and see live music again, and a lot of the bigger people are still postponing, so in a way they might be the only people to see.
That's a good way to think about it. Yeah.
So when you're not making music, do you have any other fun things that you like to spend your time doing?
Well, it takes up a lot of my time, to be honest, but my other sort of passion is fitness as well. So I work as a personal trainer, mostly. So I do a lot of that as well, a lot of fitness, which is always fun.
Yeah. And that room you're in now, I take it, is that where you record a lot of your music, or is it just a kind of rehearsal room?
I mean, this is just a multi-purpose room, really. I write my music, I record my music, I work here. If I'm working at my desk, I'm at my desk. So it's a multi-purpose creative space.
And what's good about that room is, certainly from this angle anyway, there doesn't seem to be many distractions there. so you can really get to work.
It's very minimalist. That's on purpose, because I can get distracted quite easily, and I'll just pick something else up and I'll be like, no. So yeah.
Do you have any plans to put the whiteboard on the wall at any point?
No.
All right.
It's quite nice on the floor, because if I want to move it, then I can.
Oh yeah.
And it's very big. It's probably one of the best purchases I bought, though, because I organise my life on it. Everything I need to do is on there, so it's very useful.
Yeah, it's a good idea to move it around, I suppose, and you don't have the fear of it randomly falling down one day.
Yeah, it could injure someone.
Yeah. So what's coming up for you in the not too distant future? Have you got any more songs coming out after this one?
So I'm already in the middle of recording the next one, which will hopefully be released in January. I'm very excited about that as well. And I'm actually working on writing with my producer for a couple of songs as well, just to kind of get out of my own way a bit and kind of write in a different way, try and get a bit of a different sound as well, because I'm still very much at the beginning of kind of finding what works for me. So that'll be fun. Yeah.
And I might as well ask you, because it's getting closer, what are you up to for Christmas this year? Anything musical, and also just private plans?
To be honest, I'd kind of forgotten about it. It's not quite in my mind yet. I think I'm so focused on my music projects at the moment. I haven't really thought beyond that, but I'm sure I'll be seeing friends and family, and at least taking some time off as well, just to properly relax and recharge. So
and hopefully Christmas will be a little bit better this year than it was last year, I guess. I don't know where you are in the country, if you were even allowed to do anything.
I can't even remember. It's so funny. It's like the years kind of merge into each other at the moment, but I think a lot of it was cancelled last year, if I remember. I'm in London, but I think this year it seems to be so far sort of going ahead.
If you were in London, then I guess you couldn't do anything, unless maybe if you lived on your own you were allowed to. I can't even remember.
I think you were allowed to bubble with another family if you lived on your own, and then there's been so many different variations, though I can't honestly remember what we are allowed to do or not. So.
Yeah, it's so confusing. I don't even well, I know the rules now because there aren't any, but most of the time I didn't really know what the rules were.
I know, it's very hard to keep up.
Yes. Well, where are we able to keep up to date with you and listen to all your music, and in particular the latest song, Can't Stop, Won't Stop?
Well, I guess I'm on all music platforms, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music. But I'm very active on Instagram. I post a lot. I involve people in my behind the scenes, in the process, as well as the finished product of my journey. So feel free to follow me on there as well.
Great. Well, thanks very much for joining us here on the show. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you. Good talking to you.